Hi everybody. So I was just thinking today about speaking and doing lives, videos to share with you. And I was just thinking about Bob Proctor, my mentor, and he had several mentors, along his journey. And Bill Gove was such a mentor to Bob, and he taught Bob how to speak on stage and be comfortable in front of an audience. And Bill Gove was recognized as the father of professional speaking, and he was really good at it, and so is Bob, because they knew how to be themselves and to be authentic, to be their true selves. Not, it was never an act. It came from a deeper part of themselves. And Bill Gove is quite famous for saying this quote. He says, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me that you think I should be, not the me that I think my wife thinks I should be, not the me I think my kids think I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. So I better know who me is. And that authenticity, that word, it's such a hot word, isn't it? And what does it mean to be authentic? So there's lots of definitions, but they all usually boil down to having our actions match our words, and our words lining up with our beliefs and our values. And it's a long-winded way of saying that we are who we truly are without imitating or mimicking someone else, but also expressing our real self in the world, and not doing that through fear-based thinking or our cultural mask. So we don't need to put that success suit on or that business suit on to be, to put our truth out there. And true empowerment is to not be afraid to show up, as who you are, as who you really are, and express what you really want. And maybe for you that means, leaving the makeup off to go to the shop, or maybe that means just speaking your truth in the way that feels positive and right to you, and not being afraid of that, or not being afraid to act on an idea that you've just had, or communicate to your significant other, your partner or your boss, what you want in a relationship or in a job. But I think true empowerment is to just show up as yourself. And sometimes, sometimes we second guess this. I second guess this sometimes. I want people to feel comfortable, to feel at ease. I want to converse with everyone. I want people to think that I'm okay in my personal and professional life. I'm addicted to that stuff, so I completely get it. But this process is learning, and it's discovery of who are we, when we're not being who we think we should be for other people. So we're letting go of who you think you're supposed to be. And as we change, as we get to know ourselves better, we have to show up differently to the different aspects of ourselves. And that could mean feeling vulnerable. And so we're not being who we think we should be. Instead, we're showing up as we truly are, being authentically you, showing up in the world. So showing up as a beginner in something, not from a place of have to or should do, but from a curious growth and exploration, a way to truly see this is being present to the space between our thoughts. And you might find this odd at first, and it takes some getting used to. you might actually find it quite boring. But in this place, there's also less drama, conflict, and there's so much less dissatisfaction and less resistance. And resistance in our body, that's when we're tired and we don't feel good. There's something within us that's just not right, and that's resistance. So in this space, there's presence, there's real peace. This is the dynamic part of you, the thinker of the thoughts. There are no issues or problems in this place. And the thoughts don't run the show, because we are not our thoughts. But the thinking mind, it looks to create issues. It's wired to look for problems. And it searches for that separateness with one another. It looks for problems with ourselves and others and all situations. Now, the thinking mind, it searches for comparison and measure. So what are we doing when we're thinking? We're in our heads, we're in our minds. We've got to release that resistance, and we've got to, it's so on guard, that mind. So I just want to talk about, here are some tips to navigate that line between what the mind thinks and our real self, so we can understand which part of ourselves we want to put out there. Now, maybe you don't identify with different parts of yourself, but there is, the thinking mind is a tool and should be used as such. And you are the authority of your mind. So, so we need to understand what part of us is that, is it reactive, or is it the positive, true part of us? And doing this creates ripples in your world. I spoke to a friend last week about the butterfly effect. Now, I remember that film. I don't know if you remember that film, but it's the idea of when we do small things, we take action on small things that can have a huge impact. And it comes from the concept of a butterfly flapping its wings and causing a typhoon on the other side of the world, or what have you. And of course, the butterfly flapping its wings can't cause a typhoon. But what I'm saying is, small events can be a catalyst for great change. So here are some tips to get in touch with the authentic part of us, with who you really are, and how that can have such a great effect on everything. So first one is take time to know who you are. We're so bombarded with messages from our childhood, how to behave, who we are, who to become, what we want to do in our lives, and the list goes on and on. We get messages from the media, what our lives should look like, what to be scared of, what not to be scared of, and what success means. It's tough to hear that voice inside of us that speaks our truth. And I saw a post on Instagram yesterday about, we don't need more successful people in the world. We need people to give and to be kind. And I thought, well, success doesn't have to mean going out there and accomplishment. Success can mean anything to anyone. Success could mean being kind. Success can mean loving your life and having passion and waking up every day with good intentions and feeling good about yourself. That's success. That's true success. Expressing yourself in the world and loving who you are, that's true success. So I digress. So sometimes it's tough to hear that voice inside of us, that speaks our truth to you. So make time to get together with yourself, go for a relaxing walk, make the space, allow yourself, spend some quality time getting to know yourself. And So the second one is, how can you be effective with your authenticity? So when we're speaking our truth, make sure it comes from a positive place to get that positive impact. So your attitude, and not from that reactive part of you. So if it's from fear or lack, I'd advise you not to take the action or speak your truth, because it might kick you back in the teeth. I'm just putting out there. I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't. You do whatever you want to do, but that's just my advice. So another one is, conformity doesn't equal success. So being authentic doesn't mean that we should conform, to do what others think that we should do. But if we come from a more flow-based way of showing up, we celebrate our uniqueness and our individuality, and that is a great thing. Also, don't confuse emotional reactivity with authenticity. Allowing our emotions to take over. We think we're being honest when we say something, we just blurt something out that comes to mind. But often, that gets confused with being authentic. And this is actually removed from our authenticity. Being highly reactive to other people's behaviors is actually us forgetting who we really are and leaving our value in the hands of others. It's our wounded ego fighting back, and that's really different from being centered in who you are and your values. And our authentic self tends to show up in a calm, determined demeanor, or even in the face of conflict or rejection. So that's something that's key. So check your intent when being authentic. So many people will hide behind being brutally honest as a form of authenticity, but being direct and honest has nothing to do with being brutal. And the brutal piece comes from judging others. It's usually a defensive way of protecting ourselves, and this is fear based and lack behavior. So if you're being authentic, there is nothing to defend or be brutal about. And reflect on what stories are driving your behaviors. So there's a space between our experiences and explanations, and that space is where we create stories to make sense of what experiences mean to us. But if you don't stop and reflect on the stories you're coming up with, you won't be able to intentionally choose those behaviors and make sure that they line up with those values that you have. We'll possess authenticity, but we have to be brave enough to connect with who we are and share that with others and consider that impact. So are you embracing your authenticity? It's your unique way of expressing yourself in the world. It's not who you are that stops you from expressing yourself. It's who you think you're not. You might think you're not the person who can go out there and do whatever it is that you want to do. But we can use authenticity to build trust, because it's not competitive. It's wild and it's free. And its true aim is a win-win for everyone, for both parties, whoever they may be. And so I urge you to give some serious thought to who you really want to be, who you really are, and the lifestyle that you would love to have. If you knew who you really are, you'd no longer worry about people's opinion of you. And you wouldn't worry about how you're going to move from point A to point B. The truth is, you wouldn't worry about anything at all. There's two things that hold us back from whatever it is that we want to do, our perception and lack of awareness. So stop being what other people think you should be, and start acting like the person that you really want to be. And accept the ideas that there's this perfection inside of you, and you already have everything you need to step into your dreams, and you'll be absolutely astonished by what you're capable of. So I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that's helpful today, or maybe, you can take that with you when, you want to show up as yourself, and you want to be who you really are, and not be who you think you should be. Okay, so have a good day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.